Good morning and welcome to Summit. It's our midweek edition of the program, and we are real glad to be here with you again. My name is Jumoke Michaels. Banji.
Yeah, Jumoke, it's our midweek edition, and I'm equally glad to be back at work.
Yes.
My name is Banji Busari.
All right, so yesterday the Nigeria Labour Congress joined in the solidarity protest for the education sector, and yesterday and today the protest is still ongoing. So in case you see them on the road, please don't panic, just allow them pass, and then so that everything will be orderly. But we thank God that yesterday the protest was orderly all across the Federation. So that's one of the topics we'll be looking at today, reviewing that NLC solidarity protest. And then also we'll be talking about the insecurity, talking about threats to high-profile Nigerians. And joining us for the discussion today, we have Mr. Jide Ologun. He's an attorney at law. He's also a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, which do we start with?
Let's start with insecurity.
Okay.
It's the most crucial issue in the land. And you used the word audacity 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Now, the insurgents have taken their acts to an unimaginable level. That the whole president of the country is their target. They were planning, they gave a threat that the president was their next target, and the governor of Kaduna State. Now, if there was a better word than audacity, I probably would have asked Jumoke to use that word. So, but what was your reaction to that threat? Is it that they felt that they haven't hit hard enough, or that the president is not aware of their demands or the seriousness of the situation, so much so that they want to go for his life?
It's a combination of all. And I will start by letting us know that there is something called reinforcement theory in industrial psychology, which talks about reinforcing an action. So you now witness a group that started as Boko Haram at a local level, now linked up with Islamic states of West Africa, and then getting stronger and stronger, perhaps because the state has not done the needful to take them out, like they say, before growing to this level. But talking about that also, it may appear that it is intentional. It may appear intentional because you recall we had the Shite group, rising up at a time to display relevance in the country, and how the country how the regime dealt with that group decisively. But
The
Shite group. In fact, El Zazaki is still in confinement as we speak now, despite all the shouts and boos and all, But now we have this Islamic State of West Africa threatening the president and government.
But would you want to compare the Shites with the insurgents?
I'm not.
The Shiites
I'm talking
identifiable.
I'm talking about capacity. Mohammed Yusuf started Boko Haram. Boko Haram is known to the government now. Governor Rufai said they are in communication. It's just that they call them different names. With the bandits, they really do not want to qualify them as terrorists for international law's reasons. All right. Sheikh Gumi went in there into their enclave to take photographs with them. The governor of Niger State has disclosed that about 12 out of 25 local government areas in Niger have been taken over by these terrorists. So the government cannot claim that they don't know them. In fact, the government told the world they know at least 400 of their sponsors. And when you know sponsors, it's easy to snuff out an activity. So, and that is why it may appear like, if I go to the drama angle now, that these people are calling on their own. That President Muhammadu Buhari, waiting to happen, will come after you. He was their spokesperson.
Yeah, during Jonathan's.
In 2013, it's on record, Google it. He said that clamp down on Boko Haram is injustice to the north. It's reported. Governor El Rufai said, it's reported, Google it, that he went paying the Fulanis not to embark on reprisal attacks. So I don't know why some Nigerians are pretending that they don't know what is going on. I do not know. So if they are now threatening, it may be that they are speaking to their own, that hey, some may call it a joke, and I may tie to the point that my president and commander-in-chief, whom I respect so much, enjoys high-profile security. So I don't know how easy it would be for them to kidnap him.
Talking about high-profile security, of course, barely 24 hours after that video was released, where they were threatening to send that threat to the president's life, they attacked the presidential, what did you call them? Brigade guards. Brigade guards. They were attacked. And that was still in that Abuja. Actually, they said they were targeting the Nigerian law school, but they met with those troops, and then there was fire for fire and all that. So is that not getting too close to presidency?
I express my condolence to the families of those who have been killed in the course of this terrorism in the country. But I maintain my position that except the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces in Nigeria surrenders to the terrorists, it's difficult to get to him. We go to the Supreme Court in Abuja, which is in the same environment with the Aso Villa, so I can let you know the level of security the president enjoys. But having said that, I passed a comment at a time when the Taliban took over in Afghanistan that don't look at the kilometers between Afghanistan and Nigeria, that the same pattern that the Taliban engaged and sustained till Afghanistan caved into Islamic government is the same that started in Nigeria around 2002 by Mohammed Yusuf. You see, so, and the Afghanistan leader ran away. But unfortunately for Afghanistan now, they are in serious crisis. In fact, there was a natural disaster recently. Poverty is dealing with them seriously. And that's why we are calling on well-meaning Nigerians. And I've been doing that for years to rise up. It may be late, but the Chinese say the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. At the time, I was appealing to religious leaders, traditional rulers, everybody, that let's get involved in the insecurity in this country. But some of them appear to be comfortable in their zones, and now the bubble is busting, because if the attack is now in the Federal Capital Territory, it should be worrisome. And recently, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Wajib, disclosed that there were about 44 intelligence reports before the attack of the Kuje prisons, where about 800 inmates were released, including some terrorists held there. So when you look at all this, you must begin to question the position of the security apparatus that we have. We have about 40 security agencies in Nigeria, and I belong to the school of thought that we don't lack the capacity, but maybe what we lack is the will. And right now, I think it's NSCDC that is warning us that these attackers are planning to attack some parts of Nigeria, and that they are mobilizing HR, human resources, and high-profile weapons. Talking of grenade launchers, rocket-propelled, grenades. And when you talk about the firearms law, these are some of the, prohibited firearms that are available to these guys. They have general purpose machine guns. They have anti-aircraft launchers and things like that within Nigeria. But then, one of those they claim to be targeting now, Governor El-Rufai, may have insinuated at a time that these guys are highly equipped. And that takes us back to the sponsors. So the sponsors have done good job in equipping them. And I think a former Chief of Army Staff made reference to the fact that a huge percentage of the ammunition in possession of the terrorists were seized from the Nigerian military. You see, so it's like a nation at war with herself. But that has not, repealed the provision of Section 14, subsection 2b of the Nigerian Constitution 1990 as amended, that says that the primary purpose of government is to provide security and welfare for the citizens. So here we are now, and I wish my president the best, I wish Governor Rufai the best, but Governor Rufai himself at the time tried to portray a picture of security in Kaduna State by taking his son to a public school, but he withdrew the ball.
So let's look at, in the last couple of years, the federal government has actually been priding itself in the fact that it succeeded in decimating insurgents, so much so that they cannot come close to Abuja. But in the last couple of months now, Abuja has been the theater of their operations, the main theater of the operations. Now, what does that suggest to you? The military will tell you they have the upper hand, they are actually winning the war, and technically they've defeated the Boko Haramists. But to take the insurgency to the extent of targeting the president, what does that suggest to you? You keep saying that the military has the capacity. Where's the capacity? Does the president want to lose his life? If you're talking about lack of will, is he waiting until he's kidnapped before he applies the will? So there's a lot of issues.
President Muhammadu Buhari, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, was a military head of state. I mean, he retired as a general. So if he is kidnapped, then Nigeria is finished. And if he is kidnapped, it may only be because he wills to be kidnapped. Let's understand this picture. Those who are being killed are attaches. At the time Governor Zulum's convoy was attacked, the sad part of it is that soldiers are being killed by terrorists. Policemen are being killed by terrorists.
We have some they kidnapped.
A fighter jet was brought down by terrorists. And let me go to the right quarter that I have been mentioning and we are not paying attention to. What is the National Assembly doing beyond wearing the Babariga and blowing grammar? We have 109 senators, 360 House of Reps members. I have asked this question. Is it until these bandits or insurgents or terrorists or whoever you claim they are come to attack you in that National Assembly or in your Akpo villa where you reside that you will know trouble has come? Because Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, orderliness and good governance of the country. And you have oversight functions over the laws you have made to ensure the execution of the laws. You see, and that is why you have the power to impeach when there is failure. You see, but I heard an adage about the monkey that if you put banana inside a calabash, is it the calabash with neck? I don't know what, the gorge or so. And the monkey puts its hand inside and hold that banana. Nothing will make that monkey to release banana and bring out the hand until banana is caught there. Because some of us cannot claim we don't understand what is going on in Nigeria. But it's so amazing why some people are pretending about it.
So where lies the will? You have not addressed that issue.
The will is to secure the people, but there have been several narratives. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who is an expert in security intelligence, who has access to security intelligence, who was a military head of state, a civilian president, a man of great repute internationally when it comes to national security, warned us that there is a fulanization agenda of Nigeria. Please go and try and put the pictures together. We may pretend about these things, but are they not real? Look, which community can actually come out to be safe? You see, when you talk about geographical markers,
but don't forget that these insecurity issues did not start with Buhari.
I'm not overruling that.
No, are you suggesting again that the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, was equally nursing the ambition of fulanization agenda?
I'm not, you see.
No,
sir,
you need to look at the issue.
By the grace of God, I have been in this public affairs analysis for about 15, if not about 18 years. And that means, by the grace of God, on a daily basis, we monitor what is going on in Nigeria. The Boko Haram started to discredit that regime. Look, where did the Boko Haram start? You see, because of an ideology. And I think in 2009, the leader was taken out and trouble broke out. And look at how they have become so strong. And the situation then was that you cannot handle it, blah, blah, blah. If I get there, I will do this, I will do that. The Chibok girl happened under Jonathan. The Dapchi kidnapping, how many kidnappings have happened? Sir, do you know it is on record that about 12 correctional facilities have been broken into in the last 5 years in this country? I mean, what are we talking? Even the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces at the time insinuated that he inherited Boko Haram. But now he is dealing with bandits and everything. And if the argument is right, that it's beyond his power, that he's tired, then I need to lead us to something deeper now that may touch the conscience of thought leaders in this country. Right now in the north, it's like living in hell. You see, people are rising. Young ones prefer to go into terrorism than to go into school. And I thank God we are going to discuss the case of ASU. Boko Haram started as an ideology of war against Western education. Now, universities have been shut for how long in this country? Recently, now because of the attack in the Federal Capital Territory, the school, the government school, have been shut down. So are we going back to the Stone Age as a nation? And the National Assembly is there. The ministers are there. The emirs are there. The OBs are there. The preachers are there.
All right, we heard that one of the person who actually made that threat in that video, we heard that is one of the escapees, the Boko Haram escapees from this Kuje prison attack. The person that made that threat is one of them. Now, as a follow-up to that Kuje prison attack, the Attorney General of Nigeria has brought up the idea that there should be total ban on Okadas nationwide and mining activities, that they feel that will be able to checkmate this issue of terrorism, because it is these same Okadas they use to perpetrate all these attacks. They come with Okada, they escape with Okada. In your own view, do you think this ban will, if it will not proliferate much more criminal activities?
I appreciate my Attorney General of the Federation and those who are coming up with that idea. It's never too late to stop what you think is disturbing your society. But the elders have a saying, and I play to quote, that the best time to tame an Iroko tree is when it is young. When it is old, you have to make sacrifice. Now we are in a serious trouble. And let me say what I'm saying. The 1978 Mexican statement described public relations as the art and social science of monitoring trends and predicting their consequences. An election is coming. If you ban Okada across the nation, you are setting the bandits in a different direction, because the principles of survival says that it's either somebody helps you to survive or you help yourself to survive. And we are in a country where it appears no one is willing to help you survive. So how are we going to handle the consequences, the fallout, when you now ban them? They are everywhere. And what is the sudden interest of the federal government in banning Okada throughout Nigeria? We were talking about state police, they have done nothing. So that is what this is my personal insight. I am seeing, and those who can connect to issue connect. And now they are threatening to kidnap president, they are threatening to disturb Abuja. So will there be an election in 2023? That has been my question. I asked this question even in 2019. That when these pythons begin to dance everywhere, and there are troubles and people are begging soldiers, to come and secure people, then who wants to come out and vote? So there are several issues, and recently some have been pushing the agenda of interim government and this one and that. So Nigerians, please wake up.
So what should we be doing about this NSCDC warning now?
What did the government do about the 44 reports before Kuje correctional facility breach? Now one of the escapees is somewhere threatening the president and the government. The train was attacked between Abuja and Kaduna. How many of them have been arrested? You see, they have collected ransoms, they are threatening, flogging people and things like that. You see, so, and that takes me back to that will. I have not seen the will of this regime to provide security and good welfare for the citizens. And I am not the National Assembly. I know the powers they have. I'm just a voice amongst many voices. My interest is in good governance for Nigeria because this is the most blessed country in the world, you know. But we are just saying our own to create the motivation for the opinion leaders to get involved, and by also disclosing what we appear to be seeing. So if the federal capital territory is under siege, then we need to be worried.
All right, this issue on insecurity is ongoing, so we can always come back to it over and over again. But we'll just leave it here for now. We'll be taking a break to bring you some excerpts from the Lagos State themes pillar. I hope you all know Lagos State themes pillar, talking about transport, health, education, and all that. So this package we are bringing to you will be showing you what development strides of the administration of Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Lagos State, talking about health, transportation, entertainment, education, and all that. Then after that, we'll return back to the studio to talk about the ASU strike and NLC's solidarity protest. So please stay with us. We'll be back after the break. right, thank you. So that's some pillars of the Lagos State Themes Agenda, and we'll be bringing all this to you weekly for a period of time. All right, so right now we're going to another discussion talking about reviewing the NLC Solidarity Protest, and we still have with us here in the studio Mr. Jide Ulubu. All right.
Well, simply, how would you rate that Solidarity protest yesterday?
That it's been quite successful and well organized, and the big question is the effectiveness, and we have to wait and see how effective that can be, because the essence of the protest is to register your dissatisfaction to a particular quarter, and you expect the feedback of a quick intervention. So
They were state government houses, Delta, Rivers, but virtually all the state capitals. And they spoke with the governor, and the governors assured them of a quick intervention. Do you think the governors have the capacity to change things?
the capacity is always there, but is the will there? You see, so is the will there, and are the priorities right? When we claim that the ASU is asking for intervention funds, asking for end allowance, asking for the review of the 2009 federal government and ASU agreement, and the payment modalities of their salaries and things like that, these are issues that can be attended to, but we attended to it. And now there is a demand by ASU, and in the midst of that demand that we cannot meet, we are spending 100 billion naira to turn around dead refineries. So these are issues of priority. So if education is important to the government, they would have attended to the demands of ASU, and it may be quick for some to also blame ASU. But look at this country now. Dollar, as at yesterday, stood at 670 naira to a dollar. You see, the inflation rate is about 18.6%. The unemployment rate is about 33.3%. So you look around, what's the price of diesel, price of the pump price of petroleum, and look at the general environment. And these people are exposed to this environment. And it's so painful that the will may not be on the table. Recently, one of the governors, brandished the graduation of the child, for a university. So they don't have that emotional connection with what is going on. It's so bad that as we speak, many students who could have completed their education in school are out there. Some have died, some have gone into crime, some are being jailed. That's all.
Yet some of the state governments, governors rather, saying that in their states, welfare is key, welfare of teachers, lecturers, and all that. And our educational system is very, very adequately run. Now, in a system, in a country where the states seem to be doing well, meeting their obligations with the teachers, with the staff, why would it become federal government? Why would it be difficult for the federal government to do or even exceed that target?
Priority, misplaced priority. I just said it. And of course, the value system. If you have a regime that values education, resources will be channeled to enhancing the deliverables in the educational sector. But I can let you know that that may not be the case. I made a reference earlier during our discussion. If you find a regime under which it appears the Boko Haram is winning ground, then any other support to cripple the education system will be welcome, not ascribable to Boko Haram. And that is the painful part of it. I made mention of the government college that will be shut down, the unity schools and stuff like that. So it's so easy to cripple the education sector. And if you go back to the Constitution, the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says in section 18 that the government must provide education for all citizens. So these are the issues of our time. It does not appear to be important.
All right, before the president left on this trip, he actually gave the Minister of Education, Adamu, instructions, specific
marching
order, sort out these things in the shortest time possible, but he didn't give a time frame to whatever the Minister of Education is supposed to do. And now this protest has come. And they have said, the NLC has said that after this protest, they are giving the government 2 weeks, after which there will be a nationwide strike.
Three-day warning
strike, you know. So at this time, this point where we are, what should Adamu, or is it Chris Ngige, whoever, should be doing?
They should listen to the people. I must commend the NLC and the civil society coming together now to mount pressure on the government. Ordinarily, in an ideal situation, you don't need this kind of pressure.
Exactly.
To invest in a critical need in the society. And on the marching order of the president, I appreciate his marching order, just like many other orders, to crush Boko Haram, crush insurgency and things like that. We need effective orders now. And for the ministers to advise the government, please, if you have not, if you missed the reports when they were on, please go and Google what has happened in Sri Lanka. You see, the constitution says that sovereignty belongs to the people. It's a sacrosanct provision. When the people are tired, they perceive the government as enemy and the right. And now there's mobilization. But my fear again, I must express it, is that we may find ourselves in a situation where the terrorists who claim to be fighting the authority now from their expressions may now turn against the people. So we may find ourselves in a situation where fundamental human rights are breached, people are killed. Till now, we are yet to have a satisfactory conclusion of what happened at the Lekki toll gate during the NSAS protest. So protest is on one side to register dissatisfaction, but I believe that if the will is there, we can reorganize ourselves and pay attention to all this. Because, like I said, many people are frustrated right now. We are talking about students going to write JAMB. When some have written JAMB, they have not even been given placement in the university. So where is the future of this country when some countries are already talking about artificial intelligence and engaging the economy of the future? This is so we are in a very peculiar and precarious season as a nation. But if the protest is escalated, maybe that will put pressure on those who can begin to make the change to actually start making the change. But I said it now, please go and find out what happened in Sri Lanka, you know, and it may happen anywhere, because I must say, as a mirror of the society, that majority of Nigerians are frustrated right now. The hardship is biting on people, and you can imagine what parents are going through, having your wards at home, having to feed them endlessly. You know, we were joking earlier today that when these children are idle, they eat more.
Okay, we had the vice chairman of Lagos State chapter of NLC here on Monday, and we asked him how the modality for this protest, and he said it expressly that the protest is actually for members of the union. There's all the unions put together that are supposed to come out for this protest. But from news we received yesterday, we heard that even people who are driving on the road packed their vehicles to join the protest. It was that serious. Now, what do you think that says about people's feelings, people's disposition?
I just mentioned it, and that's why we are advising the government. You see, the moment the government loses respect totally, anything can happen. So, when the COVID-19 lockdown happened, I did a little prediction. Insecurity started escalating in some communities, and neighbors who were posing for one another because of a common threat became friends by setting up vigilante group, coming out in the night. Oh, how are you? Now you dey my, oh, what be your name? Now you, and they started galvanizing. That fueled the NSAS protest. It's about networking. So right now, inflation is galvanizing Nigeria. There is no separate market for Christians, no separate market for Muslims, no separate market for politicians. They may just have more money to cope. But generally speaking,
the environment is hostile now in this country. Even the government is not denying it. So what will happen? That hardship begins to galvanize people towards a goal. And now that the opportunity is being provided, they just key in. And that is why the government must be careful. And that is why we are calling on some of them who still have ears to hear to start going back to their drawing table, because we have not left that drawing table. By now we should be talking of construction table or evaluation table. You know, so to begin to, you know, be proactive. In public relations, we talk about crisis management. You can either be proactive or reactive. Being reactive is costlier. You see, no matter how powerful a regime is, the regime is still subject to the people. It's still subject to the people.
I listened to some of the agitators, some of the protesters yesterday, their leaders, the union leaders, saying that they were tired of excuses of non-availability of funds or resources to prosecute education the way it should be. Now, let me ask you, how else should the government go about this, convincing the populace that it doesn't have the capacity or the resources?
The funds.
The funds.
You know, statistically, I think March 2015, the total indebtedness of Nigeria was about 12.12 trillion naira. Today, or most recently, it's beyond 29 trillion naira. What have we done? This government has invested in infrastructure, rail system, roads, the second Niger bridge and everything. Those are infrastructures. What about the superstructure? The human beings that we manage things, that we sustain the development. Have you invested? What is the human capital investment index? That's what we are saying. And that's why you will see that a group of people will just rise up, blow off a part of the train, the infrastructure. You have, you know, kidnap people, take them for ransom. So it's all about priority. So if the money had been borrowed to invest appropriately, and today Nigeria is exporting an innovation and making money from it, and today we have 16 refineries in the country, all right, and we can create employment. You know, I mean, there are several possibilities, but I declare today that the picture you can draw from the management of the resources of this nation is to conclude that the resources have been grossly mismanaged. Whether you borrow the money or not, at a point in time, the UAE must have gone borrowing somewhere. You know, Singapore must have gone somewhere to seek aid. The Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations creates room for partnership. Nobody is saying you cannot borrow, but here we are. You hear about a regime spending trillions of naira to feed students who were not in school during COVID-19 lockdown. Do you know how much is going into subsidy now? And yet the pump price of petroleum is going on. So what is being subsidized?
What's your
when
opinion?
Our refineries
Sorry, I need to ask this as time we don't really have much time. What's your opinion? What's your opinion about ASU waiting till its demands are met 100%?
Let me say this about ASU, and you can go and research it. Some countries value what is good. Many of these lecturers also have business outflows outside the country. Many of them, you know, are professors, they are lecturers in foreign universities. So at the end of the day, it is the general society that will suffer. It's just like when you are talking about medicine. You may be surprised that quite a number of the doctors that are in public hospitals have their private hospitals. They call it locum. We know this thing. So you find yourself tied to brain drain, while some countries are there with the brain gain. So for the lecturers, it may not be their headache. It's the headache of the society. The lecturer can even decide to lecture his own children. Let them do exams of universities online. Source scholarship for them. There are several possibilities now. But we need a functional environment. And why do we have a government in place? To create this functional environment. And that's why people are bothered. But I'm just saying now that the NLC is showing interest, it may be beyond what the government can imagine. So all those excuses, and when promises are too many that are not fulfilled, people get frustrated. And the moment you create that trust gap so widely, anything can happen. Nigerians are angry. Nigerians are angry. The government knows it. The government knows it. It's just beyond you coming out because you are a minister and you just talk to people as if walk out on them and things like. No, when the trouble comes, a big man will carry short neck and run across border.
Well,
we don't need to get to that point.
The fact that the federal government took it to the level of no work, no pay, do you think it's part of why they are still insisting that apart from the trust deficit issue?
Yeah, in HR we talk about collective bargaining, but when you find a situation where one party appears to be a giant and the other one is like this, you find situations like this. And when you talk of no work, no pay, man has this survival instincts. They will look for elsewhere to express their gifts. If you don't value their gifts, it should be valued elsewhere, and you are the one losing. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria has what we call diplomatic profile globally. People look at your country and profile your country and make their decision. Do you know the foreign direct investments we have lost in this country because of the insecure environment we have? So now, the human beings that should constitute the future, how are we preparing them? It makes my heart bleed when I read that EFCC has arrested 147 Yahoo boys. How? I mean, is it getting to some of our leaders?
One state.
147.
One town.
One town, yes.
One town. And people are reading these things. So it will come to a point where, is it not happening that where you, as a senator, as vice president, will travel to another country and you are treated like a leper? We need to understand the dynamics of what we are talking about. And there are countries of the world that are showing us class. Taiwan is there. When you want to talk about education, you talk about Singapore, Australia.
So are you afraid that this protest could be hijacked by hoodlums?
Don't let us talk about hijacking. You see,
because I think that was, that the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, actually kicked against
that is their
this
fear.
idea.
Was it not reported also that the government may have brought their own thoughts to checkmate? What do you mean by hijack? You allow your children are hungry.
It seems like that's the new
trend.
No
man. I mean, as a mother, your children are hungry. You've not fed them for 3 days. And you tell them, don't worry, I will take care of you. And you now went out to buy fried rice and turkey and chicken, set it on the table, and you are eating alone. And you now commanded all of them to come and sit down and be watched. They will hijack the food now. That's what we are talking about.
We saw the presence of the revered son, SC, and that's Femi Falana, at the rallies yesterday in Lagos. I'm just imagining a situation where you have about 140 sons joining the strike, and then other civil society groups. I mean, I'm beginning to imagine the bigger the camp swells. Do you think that will help the cause?
And that is why, please, don't let us joke with what I have disclosed a little bit. Will there be a 2023 election? Because we may be dealing with a regime who is not moved by this protest and is so obstinate to say, okay, let what will be. You saw what happened at the Lekki toll gate, whether it was denied or not. And that is my concern. I don't have any fear. God is on our side. But this nation needs deliverance somehow. And we pray that comes sooner than we expect. So the dynamics are, they are complex in nature. But Nigeria is the best country in the world by potentials. Let's enjoy this land.
Before you wind up, I'm so much afraid because I'm a resident of Lagos.
You shall be well.
I mean, this threat that the attack may come to Lagos in a massive way. I'm beginning to fear.
Don't worry.
The governor said recently that Lagos is a refugee-friendly state. But if this will happen,
you see, sir, when the chips are down, some chips will be up. when those guys started terrorizing communities during COVID-19, people rose up, people will defend themselves, and God will defend us. What I know is that having gone through history, no condition is permanent. Nigeria may be going through the dark now. The light will shine upon this nation. So may God just keep us alive.
Amen.
To be on the side of victory. It's quite pathetic.
Thank you so much for coming this morning, sir. We appreciate you.
God bless Nigeria.
All right, so that's where we leave the conversation today. Don't forget, Monday we'll be right back here on Summit to bring you, of course, many more national issues. My name is Jumoke Michael. See you again.
And mine is Banji Busari. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ló jẹ wá lógún. Sanwó-Olú o làwa fẹ́ o jà.
Yorùbá bọ̀ wọ́n lẹ́ni bá ṣe ń di pẹpẹ ó yẹ kó jẹ́ ń di pẹpẹ àti wípé ìlera tó péye la fi ń ṣòṣèlú látàrí lílọ bíbọ̀ àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ ló mú Sanwó-Olú ambassador ṣe àgbékalẹ̀ ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ lórí ìlera ọlọ́jọ́ kan pẹ̀lú ṣíṣe àyẹ̀wò fún àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC 100 àyẹ̀wò lórí BP ìfúnpá gíga temperature check bákan náà làyẹ̀wò waist check àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ẹ̀bùn tún bẹ fún àwọn akópa 100 lọ́jọ́ náà ọjọ́ Wednesday 27 July ọjọ́ 17 oṣù keje ló máa wáyé o láago 12 ọ̀sán ní Babájídé Sanwó-Olú campaign office 58/60 Odùduwà Crescent GRA Ìkẹjà ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ìyẹn ní Bosco office aláwọn alátìlẹyìn gidi o bíi Good News Hospital Sort Out Bridge Gbẹ̀ngà Adéyínká the first gbogbo ẹ̀ lábẹ́ Director General wa Ajé Atọ́y Ẹlẹ́mọ̀ṣọ́ Òkèsanjọ́ àti State Coordinator Ọ̀túnba Ahmed Gafar Sanwó-Olú Ambassador Greater Lagos Assure.
Do you have continuity or association plan for your business?
Has anyone shared the concept of sustainability with you?
What about the need to protect the rights of minority shareholders?
What are those ingredients germane to having effective meetings?
For these and many more, tune into Corporate Governance Platform every Thursday on MITV, your darling station, on DSTV 255 and UHF 43 at 4:30 p.m.
Corporate Governance Platform is your best medium for informative and educative strategies for the practice of the corporate governance profession.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.